Okay, we are rail fanning on the way to look at locomotives. How about that for a trifecta? We'll throw some lunch in later, make it a trifecta. But we are in Columbus, Ohio. It's the state's capital. Right now, we are at a place called Bannon, and it's always been called Bannon that I know of. This is where Norfolk Southern going north through Columbus, then on up to Marion. Marion is a great place to watch trains. Look that up on YouTube. Then up to Lake Erie. A lot of coal goes through here all the way up to Sandusky where it's loaded into ships. I wish there was as much coal moving as there used to be, but there isn't so much. But I want to show you on this map where we're at. This is an Ohio rail map, which you can get from the Ohio Department of Transportation. Zoom right in there on that capital city. So this black line right here is the Kanawha River Railroad. That is now run by Watco. Comes from down here on the Ohio River through Athens, New Lexington, makes a sharp turn in Bremen, and then heads up here. Now, there's a great article in Trains magazine on the Kanawha River Railroad, and the discussion was there's not much traffic along here to be had, and there wasn't a lot of bridge traffic, needing to go from here to here because Norfolk Southern and CSX would run right up through here. Anyway, we're right now where the Kanawha River Railroad meets the N&W. We can look on this side for a better view of that. And it is right here. Kanawha River Railroad coming through Pickerington, Bryce. There's a huge grain terminal right here, which, by the way, Norfolk Southern kept the rights to. So the Kanawha River Railroad hits right here and then goes down into Watkins Yard. We're going to be looking at two yards today: Watkins Yard, Norfolk Southern, and Parsons Yard, CSX. Let's go over and get a little better view of what we're looking at here. So if you look down this way, right here we're looking just about due east. Single track. There's a little siding over there that used to go into, that used to be a Georgia Pacific plant. In fact, I see the rail bed right over there. And what these guys are doing, I'm not sure, but there's a bunch of ties there. So this is being rehabilitated. Some nice new signal tower there that I hadn't noticed before. Ooh, I hear somebody coming. Let's go see what it is. This now is called Bannon Diamond. And I remember when there was a interlocking tower sitting right over there. You can hear a train whistle in the background. If it comes this way, then it's probably going to take the far turn right over there into the north part of Watkins Yard, right along those gray buildings. We are still on private property, by the way. This is being cleaned up and used by somebody, so we're right on the edge. This will give us a view south into Watkins Yard. Some memories down there. Graham and I have done load adjustment and load transfer down in that yard. We also did a derailment right off the side of that yard in a plant's, on the plant spur. It wasn't for Norfolk Southern. If you look north right here, this is another yard that isn't used very much anymore. Empty. Maybe used to be, they probably had to lift vans off when it was trailer on flat car. Yeah, this is interesting. That is a switch heater for keeping that switch defrosted. Back here's the propane tank. Okay, I don't see anything coming. We got quite a bit to go do today. We'll hang around here just another little minute. Bannon Diamond, Kanawha River Railroad meets Norfolk Southern. So this diamond, I don't think is what you call a double diamond because it's not two tracks over two tracks, but a single. Maybe this is a double and the other would be a quadruple. We are driving Graham's truck today. We've got power steering issue on the 550. We went and got a new pump this morning. Maybe we'll show you what we're doing with that. So we are going to go on to the other end of Watkins Yard, one of my favorite places to sit and watch for trains. Watkins Yard, you'll see him here in just a minute. You'll notice I'm wearing the new Carhartt coat. Don't want to work in it, but on a day like today, it'll be fun. I'll probably take it off when we start climbing over locomotives. Wanted to answer a couple questions you guys had. Rebuild It Dad asked about pulling trees. Our grapple truck will actually pull trees out. If you grab that tree, it can pull a tree that's, what do you think, Graham, 4-inch? Really? Well, the problem was it pulled out so much of a root ball that it left a big hole that now we have to fill. And in some cases, it brought up ballast, and it looked to us like it would look like the moon when we got done pulling all these trees. So we're just going to try and cut them lower instead of pulling the whole tree out. Had a couple accounting questions. In fact, there he is now. Now, Buckeye Yard in Columbus, Ohio used to be Conrail, and I think it's somewhat shared asset now. Norfolk Southern and CSX go into it. This is coming from that direction. We're going to see him kind of head to the south here and go into the north part of Watkins Yard. Now, an interesting point for the Kanawha River Railroad to use this diamond. They're coming from West Virginia, locomotives on the front. They'll go up there to where he is right now and then back down into the yard. Almost like an exit ramp on a freeway. We also had questions. Hey Beer Dan, heck of a handle, from the accounting department, and he calls himself the accounting department. So I'm assuming these are the guys whose Carhartt jackets never get dirty. From the accounting department, what sort of income from car storage? Well, we kind of talked about that in the last video. For approximately $4 to $5 a day. Now, somebody said they got $6 a day back in 2009. I would like that. And how do you calculate it? So you just calculate it per car, per day. I'm sure longer cars you can get a little bit more. The original M is asking, how do you get people to store cars? And does the railroad bring business? Well, the railroad that we interchange with would not provide car storage customers for one simple reason. They want them. Almost every short line's got some double tracked area or some leads that they're not using that they can hide cars in. So until they were full, I don't think they would recommend anything to us. And how do you get people to store cars? We don't have any really good contracts with Weyerhaeuser, Procter & Gamble, big companies. So where you get customers is through brokers. There's some really big brokers out there that may not even own any railroad tracks of their own. They just spend all day talking to big companies that may want to store cars, which I don't have all day to do that. So they're going to make a little when we make a little, and we'll just be working with somebody on car storage. 3 units through the Bannon Diamond. Now, they didn't cross the Diamond, but this whole area is probably considered Bannon, and that's pretty lengthy. I wish I could be like Distant Signal and tell you what train it is and where it's from. Obviously mixed freight. That looks like lumber, all wrapped in plastic. These guys are doing, it looks like they're trying to gain access to the back of that plant. That's an automotive parts rebuilder, but that area over there has been cleaned up quite a bit too. That used to be and I think I said this, let me go over it again. There used to be a really nice wooden interlocking tower on that corner over there, and it might have been closer to the bridge. I think you could see it from the underpass, and unfortunately it's gone. I love those old wooden towers. I'd like to have one someday. Okay, we're gonna move on to the south end of Watkins Yard. We're gonna go up and over Watkins Yard, and this view is to the south. We're gonna be down in there here in a little bit at the far end on public property. They do some unloading in there of containers. There's an old shuttle wagon. I used to work on those, and this is at a cement plant. I think this is a Lafarge plant. I like this industrial area here. We've done a little bit of work down in here. Yeah, this is a Lafarge plant. Yeah, the gate's open. Nobody's in there today. Sorry about hitting the window. That is a Sherwin-Williams plant that I don't think has rail anymore. It did at one time. Breaks my heart when they take rail out of industries. This is a big Acer Metal plant. I think it's rolled steel, and we have done a derailment in there on the backside where it comes out into the Watkins Yard. So this time we're going to be facing north. This is toward Bannon, toward Columbus. If you're wondering why the video quality isn't as good, it's me doing the videoing, not Graham. So that's a pretty healthy yard, flat yard, never has been a hump yard. Oh, that's interesting. See the loads of trash? Those will get, that's the train that's going to go on the Ohio Central out to a big landfill in New Lexington. Now we're going to go through an industrial park. We'll start up again when we get to the south end of Watkins Yard. Okay, so we're at the very south end of Watkins Yard. I see two locomotives there. The one is that train that we just saw coming in from the north. They've pulled most of the way through the yard. Probably going to drop, stop right there. So we might get some action here. This generally is pretty busy. This is a real interesting point. Now, the green line here comes up from Portsmouth, meaning by green I mean that's Norfolk Southern, and CSX, they both run up through there. But we're right now where the Indiana and Ohio, which is a Genesee and Wyoming road, comes in from down here, Logan, Lancaster, and up. And that's the line that you see in front of us at the angle. And then this point right here is called Valley Crossing, which I think is kind of quaint. Valley Crossing. Show the view of the house. It doesn't feel like you're in the 15th largest city in the U.S., but you are. Valley Crossing. I have never seen an Indiana and Ohio train come through here across the diamond there. So the Indiana and Ohio comes up, that's the blue line, purplish. We're sitting at that point right there. We're where the Indiana and Ohio comes in here. They go by the big Griffin plant where they make steel railroad wheels. That's the diamond we're sitting at right now. And then they head on into Parsons Yard, which is our next stop. That uses rail gets my attention. This is a cement plant. This is Lehigh Cement. They use a lot of cars. They use a track mobile for switching. And they are probably Indiana and Ohio, although they're right on the south end of Parsons Yard. Trackmobile. That's Transflow, which is a large bulk transloader. That's partially owned by CSX. This is the south end of the CSX yard. We're driving on what's called Core Road, C-O-R-R. And I enjoy telling people, I don't know if they enjoy hearing it, that Core, C-O-R-R, actually was C&O Railroad Road. Core Road. And you know, a lot of this history's been lost. Nobody would know that anymore. I've never even found anybody that cares. Okay, continuing on with Buckeye Yard, we are coming up on some history now. This is an asphalt terminal that's not in use, but that's downtown Columbus in the background. And what we're going to have right here on our right is the old brick roundhouse. I don't think it's used anymore. They probably store some equipment in it. The car knockers work outside under a carport. There's some stored track material. One time we rebuilt some hydraulic jacks for CSX, and I came and got them right there in that little brick outcropping there. I don't know what department was in there, and that was quite a few years ago, but same building. I don't know what year that roundhouse was built. We're now on Parsons Avenue, classic north-south, South Columbus street. Look at all the ballast there. And there used to be, I think, a big brick building here, which was the railroad headquarters, replaced by that really pleasing architectural, I'm kidding, design. CSX Yard, that's the north end of Parsons Yard. The Ohio Central comes down here to get a train each day for Newark. Now we're going under the railroad tracks, and we've only got one thing up here we're going to show you, which is I think we're about to be in an accident here. This is where Buckeye Steel used to be. Buckeye Steel made a lot of railroad parts, truck frames, bolsters, couplers, and you know, they had some problems, got sold at an auction, and they sold everything. And we bought a lot of stuff, but they sold and then they tore down every single building. That was a mighty industrial building there. They used electric furnaces.
It was the biggest steel foundry in the U.S.
I mean, they could pour pieces that weighed, I don't know, 35 ton. And the U.S. just doesn't have this capacity anymore. And it annoys us that it was sold to a company that was going to scrap it for just a couple $1 million less than a company that was going to revive it.
For $2 million more.
I believe in less government, but that's maybe where the government could have seen jobs that could be saved. So leaving Watkins Yard to go to our locomotive appointment, we did come across this CSX local with a caboose. So they're now on this shared track between Indiana, Ohio, and it's also how you would interchange cars between Parsons Yard and Watkins Yard. And we got here just in time to see that. That must be some kind of yard caboose they move when they're doing these inner yard switches. And he's just gone around the bend. Okay, we're back at Watkins Yard. Not to be disappointed this time. We're in the $400 car today. This is the second day. We're back here because I just wanted to make sure we got a view here at the south end of Watkins Yard. Now this stack train is going to the Rickenbacker Intermodal facility, which is brand new in the last 5 years or so. They spent a ton of money getting that yard ready. I think it's part of the Heartland project where they opened up tunnels and bridges between the center of the country in Baltimore and ports on the East Coast. This is pretty common through here. And if you're looking at equipment, those blue cars are a 5-pack, which means there's a truck in the center for 2 cars. Yellow is a 5-pack right here, this TTX. Here's some singles. That's interesting. This 3 right here is a 3-pack. So that's something interesting you can do while you're watching Intermodal. This is slowing down a little bit. Rickenbacker's probably 4 or 5 miles south of here. Unlike the guys who really do a nice job with this style video, we didn't have a scanner, and that's why this kind of snuck up on us and why we don't know what train it is. I think intermodals are not fascinating to watch because of, it's like a unit train of something. It's one is kind of like the other, except for watching the cars, the 3-pack, 5-pack. Florida East Coast, that's interesting. TTX dominates. I don't know how many cars this was. This was quite the train here. And yet not near as heavy as a bulk coal or bulk commodities. Well, at least we got you one train at the south end of Watkins Yard, headed for the Rickenbacker Intermodal facility. We're still at the south end of Watkins Yard. This looks like, I always like long end first, the old N&W practice, sometimes carried on in Norfolk Southern. But these guys were probably putting a train together. This is a flat yard, no hump, so they're may reverse direction and go back up into the yard, but that's a little bit of what else goes on here. Got gates coming down. We'll see what happens here. They might have just barely hit the yard limit and brought the gates down, but may not be heading this direction. I need Jawtooth here. Do a better job of narrating than I would. Look at this right here in front of us. That's interesting. That's ribbon rail. Well, all 4 joints are right here in front of us, but these 2 are in the exact same place, side by side, which I would think you would want them staggered. On the other side, they are staggered. They do have holes where you could put a splice bar in, and there's joints right there as well, right by the crossing. Of course, ribbon rail is 1/4 mile lengths pulled out the back of the string of cars like a spaghetti and laid down on the ground. Much, much smoother, less maintenance. It is a nice day today. 40 degrees Fahrenheit. One of our friends from Canada messaged us the other day and told us how cold it was up there. When we say cold, we mean colder than in Florida, but not as cold as in parts of Canada. Well, the gates obviously have gone back up, and Who knows how long he'll sit there. The other thing a lot of you guys are much better at than I am is knowing what the locomotives are. The industrial switchers, and then on up into EMD switchers, and most Alcos I can identify and I know about, but the big road units, I just don't know a lot about them. When we leave here, we're going to a truck and equipment salvage and sales yard. They've got a truck there that they're willing to cut up to give us a dump bed, sell us, and I don't know what he's going to say price-wise, to put on the rail cart. So we're going to go look at that here in just a little bit as well. Great day to be train watching with you guys. We just ate the peanut butter and jelly, so we're pretty comfortable. We didn't bring the thermos of coffee, though. I don't know how we goofed that up. Got a maintenance away truck coming, so I'm going to back out of this little driveway. I think we're on private property, but I kind of blocked their drive for a little better view. So the ditch lights are on, and he just sounded his bell. There go the crossing gates. He's just going to come out onto the main to head north into the yard, I'm sure. But I do like seeing him run long end first. That's just pretty cool. Unit 1009. SD70 ACE D9-4. Now, my prediction was incorrect. It looks to me like these units are going down to the Rickenbacker yard to pick up an assembled intermodal train. I don't have a scanner. I don't know which direction they're going to go, but that's what's going on there. Now, we also thought we saw another northbound coming. Our little collection of two engines has stopped there, so that leaves a little mystery. And there is a northbound coming. See the headlight off in the distance, and he's making good time. He's going to come flying through here in a minute. We'll try and sit right here where we can see him. Not really sure what that accomplished, but they're now coming back this way. You can see the northbound way down in the distance, but these guys, maybe they forgot their lunch. Or like us, they forgot their thermos today. Six axle, 6 traction motor. I'll bet you guys know what a Dick Tracy is. It's a Norfolk Southern locomotive, but I don't know exactly which one. You could put that in the comments. Now we're going to sit here a little bit. Yeah, but he didn't have to go all the way down there to do it.
Well, you see where the switch is. Maybe it's too close to the crossing. They don't want it there.
Yeah, I don't know the rules on that. Now, in this yard, trains are assembled for the Ohio Central, for the Watco line, the Kanawha River Railroad, and possibly Indiana and Ohio. Okay, let's look down to the south now. We've got an auto rack train coming. And Graham and I were just talking about this yard. The track that northbound is on is the through track, and I believe an auto rack would go all the way through Watkins Yard and not stop at all. Maybe crew change, but there's no facility here for unloading them. So here's our two units. They backed into the yard and got this. They almost look like just all single stacks. So again, this is going down to the Rickenbacker intermodal facility. Look at that camera work by Graham. Amazing. I think right now is when I'm supposed to be saying where this train's coming from and where it's going, but I don't know.
It's coming from Watkins Yard.
But where did it originate? Why is it single stack? Did it come from, it obviously came from somewhere where they couldn't double stack them, but I don't know where that is. Looks like a new axle under that car. See the rust? It just looks like it's different rust pattern and it's just been put under there. Well, here comes a double stack, which tells me that this may not have come in all in one train. It may have got put together in that yard to go down to the other yard. Well, if you've been looking for that container, that pink one, there it is. That's the one. So Graham correctly called it. This train was being pulled off of the track in the yard that our northbounder down there was waiting for. So as soon as this guy clears the point which they consider safe, I think we're going to see ditch lights, and the northbound auto rack will come up through here. Okay, we got a single locomotive up there. Looks to me like he's doing some flat switching. May not come out of the yard. It's mixed freight. He's got a couple gondolas, and then it looks like some containers. So he's probably cutting that up and building trains out of it. But I was wrong last time. We'll see what happens this time. Okay, so this single locomotive that we thought was working the yard is actually on the lead that goes over to CSX. So it looks to me like those are the cars that are going to interchange with CSX coming out of Watkins Yard and headed over to Parsons Yard. We've also got the northbounder moving now, that auto rack. So he's going to be up here in just a minute. So we've got action on both sides of us. Northbound hadn't picked up much speed yet, but you'll see him here in just a minute. What I thought were containers were actually those two orange gondolas there. Open top hoppers, open top hoppers. The northbound has got another delay in block, or he might be looking at a distant signal. In any event, we're going to watch this guy snake toward the CSX yard, and we're on our way to look at a dump truck that might be being cut in half, in which we could buy the dump bed. So that's where we're headed, and this is the Indiana and Ohio line right here, and Norfolk Southern just getting ready to get their clearance to come on there. Kind of a game of hurry up and wait, seems like. That building, the blue and white building just beyond there, we talked to them about maybe moving rail cars for them. The other day I mentioned the propane-powered 5TM trackmobile. They've got an eighth of a mile of track inside their building. It's a long building, and the rail runs the whole way on a loading dock. But I think it would only be on a weekend if the railroad couldn't get to them or something like that. Okay, so we're at Smith Equipment looking at trucks. Now this truck is pretty beat, obviously used by a landscape company and really rusted out. But this is the kind of bed that we were looking at and thinking about. So what do you think they want for it? For the truck, they want $4,200.
For the truck and no.
For the truck and the whole thing, the complete truck. And the bed, $3,500. So this would do, but you know what? I still don't feel good about it in the expense and the having to cut the truck apart and mount it. I still like the gravity self-dumping hopper. We should have brought the dimensions of the cart, but I think that could sit sideways or long ways on the cart. Now at $4,200, we'd get some of the other parts. I don't even want this truck. That looks like a bad idea to me. They did have some other ones. They offered us this green one. Came from the forestry department, low miles, but I think it was like $7,800. Of course, they don't want to cut the bed off of it. So, and nothing off of 1 ton. This is what I would call a 2 ton or a 5 ton. So this is pretty close to what I wanted to look at, but price-wise and hassle-wise, not, I don't think it's the right thing. Here's an example of one that is just ate up with rust. The inside of the bed wasn't too bad, but look at the outside. I mean, that's just not something we want to own here on the East Terminal Railway. I mean, we got pride in our equipment. There's no way to make that look right, any of it.
Melt it.
And for that reason, we're out.